Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing out there in Uncle Steve's land? It's the Friday brunch in Uncle Steve's lounge. We're gonna preview the Falcons Bucs. Have you all got that nasty taste out of your mouth from last week? I hope so, because you better pay attention. Because after last night's win over the Saints, this game will be for first place. Can we do it? Let's talk about it. Man, what is going on? How y'all doing out there in Uncle Steve's Lounge on a Friday, October 20th? Thank you for joining us. I am your humble host, Steve, aka Uncle Steve. Appreciate y'all coming into the lounge today. Welcome to all of you on YouTube. Appreciate y'all coming up in here. For those of you in Atlanta Bird Gang on Facebook, we appreciate having you all in here. What a week we have had. If you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, boy, oh boy. I mean, we ran the gamuts of all types of emotions this week, from fire this person to bench this person to get rid of this regime, and what are we doing, and are we how do we call ourselves a football team? And then I turn around after all of that said and done and dust is settled, and the reality sets in that we're at game number 7 this week, and we're 3-3, which for the last couple of years is something we haven't been able to say. Last couple of years, um, you know, 1-2, 1-3. And I know last year, I think this time, I think we 2-4. I think we might have been 2-4, ran off 2 in a row last year. I could be wrong. I know we got to 4-4 at one point, but everything's kind of lining up for us coming up for Sunday's matchup with our division rivals, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because yesterday, on Thursday, the New Orleans Saints embarrassed themselves and lost the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which now, as it turns out, that Jacksonville game may not have been as bad as we thought. Maybe Jacksonville is that good. And I'm gonna tell y'all something else that I talked briefly about to a couple of folks after that game, sending some messaging. Uh Man, does it really pain you to see Foye Aluakon on that team balling out like he did last night with that pick six and just making tackles and doing all the things? And I realized before everybody come in, I know we didn't have the money to re-sign him, and that's understandable. And quite honestly, um, he did get quite a bag from Jacksonville, because at that time they had the money to do it. But boy, what a smart move from them. Because if you think about if, what if? So that's one of my questions today. Give me the biggest what if you can think about in recent Falcons history. The what if. If I start saying them, I'll start saying too many. I know the one that I've heard a lot of people talk about recently, but to me, I don't know. I guess it's kind of a stretch, the TJ Watt thing. But when I saw TJ Watt go, it's quite a few teams passed on TJ Watt, not just the Falcons. But I'm talking about that that one pick or transaction that you said, man, if we had or if we could have, whether it be draft, whether it be free agency, or whether we release somebody and realize, uh-oh, we should have held on to them. That's what I'm talking about. And then, of course, I want to hear your predictions on what's going to happen Sunday. I was talking to my buddy Big Low Country Sports. Y'all know who he is. Make sure y'all run out there and support his channel. And he and I were having a conversation, and I was trying to describe to him that feeling after the game. If you all ever had acid reflux before, where you get acid reflux and after it's over, it's still that little burning part in your throat that kind of just sticks there and stays there after a while. That's that taste from last week after that Washington game. It's a nasty type of feeling that you have in there. And I'm just telling y'all, it's not good. So, I mean, I just think this week is this can be a great win for us. Because not only would you win, you jump up in the first place and immediately, for the second time this year, obviously, after game one, for the second time this year, you would have sole possession of first place. And I guess I take that back. First time you'd have sole possession. We tied early. You would be 2-0 in the division, and things will be looking up. So I want to hear the temperature of what you guys think. First of all, the what if move, the biggest what if move for you in Falcons history, whether it be free agency, whether it be draft, the biggest what if. And obviously your prediction for the game. As we do every week, I'm going to start off in the chat. Hope everyone is doing all right. Again, as you all come in, don't forget, especially on YouTube and Facebook, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Why haven't you? Let's get it started. Brother David Starks is in the house. What's going on, David? Good to see you, man. My brother Smitty's Sports Machine. And matter of fact, it was Smitty who I had the conversation with about Jorge Luacon, and we were talking yesterday. And I said, man, wouldn't that be nice if he could be in the middle? And I know, he came back and like, man, that was too much money. I said, shh, doesn't seem like too much money right now. I tell you that. Got the first super chat of the house in here from my brother Greg. Woo-hoo! Super chat. Express yourself. Super chat. Tell us what you're talking about. Super chat. Express yourself. I know it's Uncle Steve in the house. Yeah, boy, Greg got it going on. Greg, I appreciate you, my brother. Don't forget, y'all. Make sure y'all check Greg out with Greg Custom Kicks. Please make sure you check the brother out. He has some great shoes and great things he has that he can turn around for you pretty quickly. Get you out for that next time. By the time we get back to the home stadium, you'll have those kicks in your hands. Perfect gift for Christmas this year for those ones that you love. Get them some custom shoes, man. That's how they do it. Greg says, first of all, thank you and the guys for the support of a fellow Army veteran. Fellow, thank you, sir. And artist, I appreciate that. I got to give credit where credit is due. Brother, we always look out for our veterans, and actually just look out for you, period, because you the guy. And we appreciate you and the support you give. Greg also has another one in here. Brother Greg, you're going to make these people get tired of this music. I know when you super chat, Uncle Steve will chat right back. I know when you super chat, Uncle Steve will talk right back. Every time you donate to me, you. Greg and Greg Custom Kicks, we appreciate you, brother. He said, his what if is what if Vic's cousin took that dog charge? And when you think about it, when y'all think about it, that makes sense. Because who knows how the dominoes would have turned and how they would have played out He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. What if he would have done that? Great call. And thank you again, Greg. We can't support you enough, brother. Eric Parker is here. What's going on, Eric? How you doing, sir? Thank you for joining us in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Philip Crawford, what's up, man? Say, what do you think we getting this money up for? Yeah, man. It's kind of interesting. We got uh one more week before we get into the draft. I mean, I'm sorry, the trade deadline. Usually, it used to be back in the day, the football trade deadline, not that big of a deal. Shit. Man, there's so many trades being made, lower end, trying to see if we eventually going to work our way to get involved in one of these deals. I know we did with Van Jefferson. So let's see if it's something else we can get ourselves into. I don't mind. As long as it's a good move. Don't do a move just to do a move. But it does make sense, Philip. What are they doing? What are they up to? Rusty's in here. What's going on, Russ? Say, I'm not afraid or embarrassed to say it. I miss pre-2021 Matt Ryan. I'm not mad at that. I would, Rusty, I would probably put that pre-2019. Because Matt had a really good year 2018, and a lot of people don't talk about it. That was the year the whole defense kind of got hurt. And all Matt could do was put up points, but our defense was straight garbage that year. But I hear you. And I know a lot of people don't like visiting it back then. From 2008 to 2018, Matt got you to the playoffs 6 times. We don't need to revisit that fateful day in Houston, but at the same time, at least he had us in the conversation. Smitty says, these next 2 games could decide our season. Is downhill after Tampa Bay and Tennessee. And, Smitty, we were talking about that earlier last week, man. That's why the Washington game to me was so disappointing, because Washington was supposed to be one of those conference games you were supposed to put in your pocket. That was one for the resume down the line, because y'all know if the Falcons do not win the South, it's still going to be a logjam in the wild card. And the first tiebreaker when it comes to the wild cards, conference records. You got to win these conference games. So right now, we are 2-2 in the conference. Beat Carolina and beat forgot that quick. Green Bay. So we could have pocketed that Washington win. That would be a 3-1 conference record. And then, of course, any division games you want to pocket those too. But these are the games you got to pocket. Demetrius, what's going on, man? How you doing, sir? David says, division rival, a chance to move in the first place. Let's see what we do. Absolutely. John, what's going on, John? How you doing, sir? So, Uncle Steve, I have a question. Do you think there is any steam to these Justin Field rumors about him to Atlanta? I don't think so now. I think Chicago, you think about, and I don't want to stay long on another team, but think about what Chicago has going on, man. Chicago, if the season were to end today, which it doesn't, Chicago would have the first 2 picks in the draft. And then when you think about what Justin Fields is, Chicago has to make a decision whether he is their future or not. If he's not your future, and you see what Carolina is doing already, and doesn't really look like Carolina's going to get much better. They just shipped off my buddy yesterday in a trade. So, yeah, it's something to think about. But I don't think Atlanta is going to be interested. I think we're going to ride. I honestly think we're going to ride the Desmond train until at least, as long as we're. This is me talking. I think week 10. You get to week 10, and we have not seen any kind of movement that makes it look like we're going to get much better, I think that's when you're going to see possibly some changes. But look, y'all, as frustrated as I get with Desmond Ritter and Arthur Smith and whatnot, it is only game 6. And in the moment, we all I want to get Arthur Smith fired. Oh, I want Desmond Ritter off the team, blah, blah, blah. We just gotta stick here for a couple of games, see what happens. Not happy, but yeah. Eric says, yes, it pains me to see him with the Jazz here, 4A. I'm telling you. Francis, how you doing? Say, hey, Uncle Steve. I'm just going to pray for a win. Looks like it all depends on which Ritter and play calls come out to play. And Francis is one of the biggest supporters here for the Falcons. And that's where she's coming to. She said, hey, I want these guys to win, but the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde of Desmond Ritter, and no, folks, he hasn't had 5 good games. He hasn't had 4 good games. I would argue still that there were only 2 games that were okay. So, yeah, we got to see which one we're going to get. Smitty said if Todd Gurley was on our Super Bowl team in 2016, we run away with the Lombardi. Yes. Yes. That would have been something else. Toy, what's going on, brother? Good to see you, classmate. David says, what if we don't cave in to Julio Jones and we have money to spend on other players when Fontenot first get here? Very good point. Very good point. Millie Mills is here. What's going on, Mills? How you doing? Scott Glover's in the house. What's up, Scott? What if we made Matt LaFleur head coach and drafted Justin Fields? Oh, man, don't make me. That's a good one right there. And here's the thing about that, Scott, and I know a lot of people go back to that particular when we split up the dream team when it was Shanahan, and yes, even you guys who don't like Shanahan have to admit what he was doing here was working. And LaFleur left. That could have been some good stuff if we would have looked within. But I think at that time, coming off the Super Bowl, quite honestly, we could say it in hindsight, but who's going to fire a coach who just lost the Super Bowl, albeit in historic fashion? But you just took your team to the Super Bowl. I don't think I've ever seen a coach to get fired after that. So. Facebook users here say, what's good, Uncle Steve? Always great content, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We try to entertain. Like I said, if you come here for analysis and breakdown and stats galore and all that stuff, I'm probably not your person. You want to have some fun, talk a little bit about the Falcons, get a smile on your face, this might be the place for you. Come on in. Make sure when y'all come in again, y'all hit the like buttons for me. Make sure you hit the like buttons on Facebook and on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, why? Go ahead and subscribe for me. I appreciate it. Eric Parker says, what if we never gave away Brett Favre? I know that's a popular one right there. That is. But Brett Favre will be the first one to tell you he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready, if y'all remember back then. Living the life in the Atlanta streets. Old boy from Mississippi. Didn't know what to do. Brett will tell you in a heartbeat, like, nah, I wasn't ready. Billy Mills says, what if Vic never got booked? Where would the game be now? That's another one for Vic. And it makes sense. It makes sense. Who knows what would have happened with his life and Bobby Petrino's life? Think about that. I mean, that could have been a real turning point. JJ, what's going on? Say, well, good afternoon, Unc, and the rest of the Falcons family in the chat. JJ, have a happy Friday, brother. Appreciate you being in here. Millie also says, or what if we won that Super Bowl? Would people be more content with the struggles we had after? I was talking to somebody about, I want to say, oh, we were talking about the Atlanta Braves. And obviously, that was a very heartbreaking way to, um, lose the game. Didn't lose the series to Philly 2 years in a row. Obviously, not what we wanted. But because the Braves just won in 2021, I don't know how y'all feel about it. This is how I feel. I think when you win a championship for the fans, I think that at least low end should buy you 5 years, high end should buy you 10. Because as we've seen in all sports, that championship stuff is not easy, folks. Braves won that championship in 2021. I can probably name 14 other division titles we won in between that. But because they won in 2021, am I upset? Yes. Should we have done better? Yes. But I'm not going to lose my mind because I know just 2 years ago, as I was telling somebody else, we still got confetti on the ground from 2021. Am I satisfied? No. But I'll give a little leeway. To Mill's point, Falcons win that in 2016, I think you would just be right over that threshold where we start saying, okay, now. I look about what Philly did. Philly won it the next year, 2017, the 2017 season. They're right about at the cusp where that 5 years, and then they went back to the Super Bowl last year. If you go to the Super Bowl, I might give you 2-3 years, maybe. If you go to the Super Bowl, maybe not win, but go. The 2016 for Atlanta team, go. Everybody talks about the timeline, the little time that you have in between your circle of opportunity. Yeah, we would have won that. We would have been good. David says, I can't give you a prediction on the game because I don't know which Ritter shows up. He mirrors what Francis is saying. I hate to say it, but I don't like our chances because we're going up against a good defense. Yeah, man. Demetrius says somebody signed Uncle Steve to a record deal. Nah. I'm good. Rusty, but I appreciate it. Rusty said, what if we realized Kyle was the reason we got to the Super Bowl and not Dan Quinn? That's great. Fired DQ and promoted Kyle to head coach. I know that wasn't going to happen. No. That's what we play in the game, man. We play in the game. The game is what if. There are no wrong answers. The game is what if. Good job. Facebook user said he gets one more game. Okay, that's fair. Jeremy Coxon here. What's going on, Jeremy? How you doing, sir? Was there any smoke to the Fields trade other than Greenberg saying, what if Fields was in Atlanta on a few months? Yeah. And to Jeremy's point, he's absolutely correct. If you're on First Take, Get Up on ESPN, Pat McAfee on ESPN, or the Skip Bayless Undisputed on Fox, FS1, that's a big platform. So when people put stuff out there on those shows, then people get excited. Greenberg wasn't saying that there was any rumor about it or anything like that. He was just saying, man, that would be a great fit. So to Jeremy's point, yeah, you're kind of throwing some gas on things there. So, Facebook user says inside sources. If he loses the Tampa game, he's out. Who's out? Smith or Ritter? I can't see who it is. Philip says, what if Freeman made that block? Woo! Need to get my brother Tidy in here to let you see that one. Devontae still trying to call people out years after that. Shout out to brother Devontae. Jimmy Wayne, how you doing, sir? Honestly, I know people are going to hate this, but I say let Ritter start the entire season. If he's not the guy, then he's not. But we also know Heineke isn't either. So no point in wasting us moving up in draft picks if we know we're getting a new guy anyway. while I'm not totally brushing off your statement because I get where you're going. Here's the problem. It's game 7, Jimmy. And yes, I was one of the main ones stomping and jumping up and down when we lost the game against Washington, ready to make changes for everything and all this and all that. But then after I sit back and take a deep breath and start looking at things for what they are, this Falcon team is not a bad team. I was thinking about Jeff Saturday here, speaking of people who are on bigger platforms. Jeff Saturday last week was saying, man, the Falcon team is a good team. But boy, if Desmond Ritter can kind of, do his thing, it's no telling, man. The sky's the limit. And yes, especially after last week, you have the right to question Arthur Smith. Absolutely 100%. Some of the things said, I mean, even his answers last week for some of the miscommunications and stuff like that. I know Desmond fell on the sword for some bad throws, but yeah, Arthur gotta suck that one up. King Richie, what's going on, sir? Say, what's up? I'm gonna be real. Although I haven't given up on Arthur Smith because I see his vision, but you give Shanahan this offense, you will not be able to stop him, especially the way our defense is playing, man. Let me tell you something. He'll have us like San Francisco South. And he'll have the right person in there. Think about Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan basically can throw any quarterback in that system he has and had made them okay. Yes, I know he lost the game against Cleveland. One game does not make a season. I get it. Same thing people try to preach to us here when we lose a game. But over the last 4 years, 5 years, sans the one season that his whole team got hurt, he has Frisco in the mix. And while he hasn't learned how to quite close the deal, I'd rather be in the mix at least. I don't want to be the 7-9, 7-9, 4-12, 7-10, 7-10 team. I'd rather be the 11-5, 11-5, 12-5 team that, oh my goodness, we just didn't make it at the end. I want to be in the conversation in late January. Yeah. Facebook user James Hanger, what's up, James? How you doing, sir? Facebook user also says, what if Matt Ryan called run plays when Kyle kept putting that ball up in the air? Over 5 yards to carry from both Devonta and Tevin. We win easily. That's what the name of the game is, folks. What if? I agree. Absolutely agree. Winston, what's going on, sir? Say what's going on, Uncle Chat. Chat, smash that like button again. Appreciate you. He's right. Smash the like button if you can. We appreciate that. Smitty Sports Machine, what's going on again? Says, what if the Falcons paid Deion Sanders? I remember I was in the Army when they didn't pay Deion. I was so mad. San Francisco, out of all teams, really? Really? That made me so mad. And he said if he had somebody like Arthur Blank, he would have been up in here. Jimmy Wayne says, what if Matt Ryan won us a ring and Julio never asked for constant extensions? He didn't ask for that last extension. That guy who was running back pick 6 would still be in the middle. Think if Foyer was still here in that middle of that offense, y'all. We wouldn't be talking now. Nate Landman been doing some great things. But Foyer was a eater in the middle. And he's doing the same thing there. King Richard says they already ready to get rid of Hurts in Philly as far as the fans. So I can say some of us fans are sort of delusional too. Yeah, but we're all that's the one thing I try to explain to people. Man, we all are have our emotional ups and downs. The roller coaster never ends. Philadelphia lost one game, and yes, Jalen has not been playing at his MVP level at last year, but they're 5-1. And sometimes, just sometimes, when you're winning, sometimes it can hide some of the miscues until you get it right. If y'all remember last year, the beginning of the year, Patrick Mahomes, they came out the they came out to shoot very slow. They didn't come out 6-0, 7-0, and things like that. They came out to shoot and lost a couple of games that they weren't supposed to. And then he got his game together. Atlanta Bird Game. Speaking of Brother Tidy, how you doing, brother? Y'all make sure y'all check out my brother Tidy. And I thought he was supposed to be on earlier today. I don't know if you made it on or not. But he's also the host of one of the fastest rising nighttime shows, The Waffle House. Tidy and his gruely chefs at night stir up drama and controversy and good food and probably cheap liquor on the Atlanta Bird Game. I don't even know where that came from. But Brother Tidy, y'all make sure y'all check him out. Getting some likes over there, more subscribers. Load them down. Say, I agree, Steve. A championship for the fans gets you some equity. Just like if UGA doesn't repeat this year, it's okay. They've earned some time. And you know what? That's probably the example I should have used, because Georgia fans especially. The one natty was great. This two natty might be able to get to Kirby. Now college football is kind of generational, because remember, you have graduating classes and stuff like that. I would argue that even if they don't win the natty this year, these back-to-back wins should get you to the end of the decade. Should at least get you to 29 or 30 before people would start losing their mind. And remember, that stuff tightens up next year with Oklahoma and Texas coming in. So we'll see how that works out. My buddy, my pal, Larry's in the house. He's here. Desmond. He loves Desmond Ritter. You know he does. He tells me that all the time. Larry has been live streaming games for the last year and a half. Y'all make sure y'all check him out on the Dixon Way. I'm trying to get up with my brother. He reached out, and we're trying to get together hopefully in November, give you guys a show together. It's been a long time since he and I kind of sat down together and chatted up things, but that's what we used to do a while ago. Now in this YouTube thing, we're going to try to take it to the next level. Y'all make sure y'all check out Dixon Way. When a fan base fade up, there ain't nothing you can do about it. It's like running out of luck. The Ghost Rider, a.k.a. Larry. Oh, man. Everybody wants to be a musician, folks. Everybody. Y'all make sure y'all hook them up. Y'all are there. That's Larry. This is Larry. Actually, Larry came in the studio with me and recorded this. This is Larry's voice right here when he did this song. He absolutely knocked it out the park. I thought I had it. Maybe I don't. I think they took it out. Winston says, ain't nobody trying to throw a whole season away just to see Ritter, if Ritter's the guy. We are built to win now. Bump Ritter if you can't get the job done. Not going to lie to you. I think you pulled the hook. I think the hook got to go a little earlier this time. It's got to. If we didn't learn anything from the Marcus Mariota thing, even Matthew Ice told people after the game, yeah, you gotta make a decision pretty soon on what you're gonna do. Fan base is not. Let me explain something to you, because I've heard the mantra, yeah, you got to give them time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Y'all being impatient. You're telling a fan base who's been supporting a losing franchise since 2018 to tack on a couple more years just because of one guy's non-ability to catch up quick. I'm not ignoring the fact that he's only played 10 pro games. Whose fault is that? Sounds like that might be Arthur Smith's fault. Because even my idol, Stevie Wonder, could see last year that Marcus Mariota wasn't it. You pull the plug after that Carolina game, Desmond gets 7 full games. So not only can you kind of see what you're getting, you kind of see whether you can make that decision for 2023. Now, it's hard to ignore a lot of these quarterbacks coming out in the draft next year. And this looks like another version of 2021, quite honestly. I know it doesn't seem like a lot of it's panning out. Trevor obviously playing well. Justin had some spikes where he's playing better. Trey is lost on the bench in Dallas after being traded. Matt Jones looks like he just doesn't want to be there. Zach Wilson got the job by default right now in New York Jets land. But coming up this year, this is a interesting draft. It'll be interesting to see what the Falcons decide to do. David Starr said, what if we draft Glenn Dorsey instead of Matt Ryan? I'm going to tell you what, that was one. And I remember people talking about that. Should get Glenn Dorsey. Thank goodness for that move. And remember, we had 2 first rounds that year. It was Matt and Sam Baker, right? Demetri says, then Arthur Smith had the nerve to make that facial expression when Ritter threw. Did I say Arthur Blank? Arthur Smith had the nerve to make that facial expression when Ritter threw that last pick on 3rd and 1 with 31 seconds to go. And maybe that was, we should have paid for Lamar. I should have drafted Justin. Or, I should have stayed at FedEx. Maybe that's what that was. I don't know. Lana Burger says, get the likes up to at least 20 peeps. Yeah, thank y'all, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, again, I'll make sure, man. We don't force y'all to do a lot of stuff, but that's an easy one, man. If it was easy for you to push over to the YouTube channel to hit it, it's easy for you to hit over there and get that like button. Hit it for a brother, man. I appreciate it. Sean says, what if we hired Frank Wright instead of Arthur Smith? The worst of the evils of that one, Sean. Hey, I don't know. Paul Starter's in the house. What's going on, man? How you doing? Clayton is here. What's up, Clayton? So what's up, Steve? I've kept reminding myself we rebuild. We just got the foundation down. We need to get to build this chemistry. It seems like it's there, but it's something missing. Play call. Okay. And I'm going to tell y'all what, man. Play calling is at the top of the list. We can't sit here and ignore that something's not right. Something ain't right. What Keith Sweat said. It's not right. Something's off. Arthur got to figure it out. PJ, what's up, PJ? Said, what if we drafted Aaron Donald instead of Jake Matthews? Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Barbara Ridley, how you doing? Barbara? Barbara, the topic is, you know how we always do the what if somebody would have done something? And like, what if we had drafted TJ Watt instead of Pat McKinley? What if we drafted Todd Gurley instead of Beasley? So the what ifs, it could be draft, it could be free agency, it could be coaching. What if we had done that? Toddy says, what if we gave old Goat Freeman 30 carries in the Super Bowl instead of taking him out and bringing bringing Teco in and messing up the offense. Let me tell you something. Tevin Coleman to me, and I hate that because I think both of those guys were good, but I think I have to agree with Tidy on that one. Yeah, Devontae was the heart and soul of the Falcons that year. If you remember, I go back to that game. If y'all remember that same year in 2016, and Devonta Freeman fumbled the ball. I want to say it was inside the 5 or something like that. And he was down on himself, and then he comes back, and I think he scored a couple of touchdowns um, in that game. But how the team rallied around him, he was that guy that year, especially running the ball. Tevin was nice, but it was clear that Tevin was playing the Robin role to Devonta's Batman. At that point in that game, up 28-3, and I'm not going to stay on there long. Yeah, that would have been nice if he would have made that decision. Corliss, what's going on? Said, what if Fred Tokars hadn't killed Sarah? Yeah, I think that's another one. Yeah, that qualifies. Barbara says all the quarterbacks have either been not playing well or the defense are just better. I think quarterbacks aren't playing as well. It's funny you say that, Barbara, because if you look around the league right now, as we usher the era of Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, about to be Russell Wilson, and all these cats out, there is an influx of quarterbacks coming in. And yes, we do want to give them time. We do. I'm not that naive. Of course you want to give Desmond Ridder some time to do this. But here's the problem. You basically set Desmond Ridder up on a team that is clear if we had better quarterback play. This team maybe you lost that Detroit game. Because quite honestly, the Jaguars beat us, but it's not like they beat us. The Detroit game is the only game I say this year that I was like, we were just outmanned that game. Jacksonville, you gave them 10 points in one swing. Detroit game, we couldn't do anything. You go 3 and out 8 straight times, you're basically not going to win. So, yeah. Demetrius says, Tidy's Waffle House be lit. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sean says, elaborate. Uh-oh. You got to tell me what I'm elaborating about, buddy. Come back and tell me. Demetrius says, UGA won back-to-back national championships and still get hated on by people just mad because we're still smoking on their favorite college teams. And uh-oh. Somebody came in right quick. Sorry about that. Still hating on people just mad because we still smoking on their favorite college team. Packs like Alabama, TCU, Ohio State, Michigan. Hey, man, it's our turn. It's UGA's turn. So they'll be all right. Damian says, what if we were Super Bowl dynasty franchise? Now, the what ifs are not fantasy land. So when we say Super Bowl dynasty, the what ifs would have to be plentiful. I'm talking about more one move. So I hear what you're saying. I'm playing with you. We good. But I'm saying what if one specific move would have made us better or would have changed things? Corliss says priming. Oh, yeah, I know about the Fred Tokars thing. Yeah, I got you. Yep. I actually, when I came home on leave, I went to Club 21. I remember the club, buddy. I remember the club well. Aaron said we would be Carolina. Brother Billy Glover's in the house. What's going on, Bubba? How you feeling? Hope everything's good, my friend. Y'all go out there and do that work today. But this is Bags says, what's up? What's going on, brother Bags? Sean says, what if Tat McKinley and Vic Beasley had panned out? Wow. Wow. Because we traded up to get Tack. Very good point. Yep. Yep, Corliss, I got you. John Higgins says, "What's up? What's going on?" They're just popping in to say what's happening. What's happening? Sean says it's personnel in California, not the head coach. He did well in Indy. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think he made a lot of, but I'm wondering if Irsay might have been leaning on. I don't think Frank Wright made a lot of great decisions last year with Indy, in my opinion. I think they pulled the trigger way too soon on Matt. They should have let Matt at least try to work his way out of that. They were ready to get to Ellinger real quick, then end up having to go back to Matt. I don't know. David says we actually traded back into the first round to get tried. Yeah, we sure did. Yeah, absolutely. Corliss says, "I'm sorry, Prime wasn't." Oh no, he was. His contract ran out. David says, "What if we get into the end zone on first and goal from the 6 in Philly and 18?" Let me tell you something. That team in 2017 defensively was better equipped to win in the Super Bowl than the 2016 season. That team that lost to Philly was better equipped. I really feel like whoever won that game was going to win the Super Bowl. And quite honestly, that was I know New England came back to score the touchdown at the end, but really that was the closest game Philly had that year down the stretch with the great Nick Foles. Barbara says Arthur Smith needs to be fired. Did exactly the same thing against the same team last year. Had Mario to throw it in the red zone and interception, and Ritter also threw an interception. And that's funny. I heard somebody else mention that play. I almost had wiped that from my memory, Barbara. And I know what you're talking about. The play so much reminded me of the Russell Wilson Super Bowl play. But you're absolutely right. Same scenario. King Richard says Arthur needs to put 10 go-to plays and put them on Ritter wrist this game and let him fly and stop half-ass trusting him. Okay. All right. Millie says it's a whole lot of what ifs if we never know. But the biggest what if is, what if Arthur Smith fits the BS that's going on right now with this team? What if he don't? That's a good one. Well, if he doesn't, contrary to a lot of people saying he's good no matter what, it's going to be hard to keep him around if we lose this year. We have a losing record. Robert says, what if we drafted Lamar Jackson instead of Calvin Ridley? Ooh. Woo! But Barbara, I'm gonna go back to that too. And I know a lot of people get tired of hearing about this. It shocked me so much when they didn't draft a quarterback in 21, even if Matt was gonna stay. Because I promise you, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, shoot, even Mac Jones would have done well to learn behind a real veteran quarterback, not Marcus Mariota. So, yeah, I hear you. King said they didn't want to have to pay Freeman that bag that next year. That's why they paid him. Bag says, what if we would have kept Calvin Ridley? Our wide receiver core would be crazy good. Well, I think Calvin kind of did some of that to himself, buddy. For real. I mean, I'm sure he wanted to play, but you're talking about having somebody on your team. And granted, he didn't count against the salary cap, but still, you got somebody hanging out that making mistakes like that. And I don't know. I know there was the mental health stuff. I'm trying to gloss over that, but at the same time, Larry said, what if Arthur Blank doesn't fire Dan Reeves? Mike Vick is a Hall of Fame player. Yeah, I can see that. Dan Reeves was gonna do some things. But remember he inherited Dan Reeves. So from an owner standpoint, this was his opportunity to bring somebody he wanted into the game. Dan Reeves was old school. Dan Reeves is probably like, yeah, you pay all this money, but I know football, blah, 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 blah. So I think he was that when Mike Vick got hurt that year, I knew the writing was on the wall for Dan Reeves. John says, Uncle Steve, I think with those two speedsters we just picked up, it's going to put this offense over the top. Just give it a chance, rise up. Oh, Tim, give everything a chance. Nobody's giving up. Not giving up anything. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating last week because you saw mental lapses and you saw mistakes. It doesn't take analytical, I know football, which is that crowd comes out so strong about knowing everything. And I was like, yes, miss me with all that. It doesn't take a genius to figure out whatever it is, it just didn't work. The big party is convincing the fan base that what you say in the press conference, oh, we'll get it cleaned up. Okay. See if you clean it up for this week. You haven't won a road game since last year. King says nobody's quarterback play just popping off the screen like that right now, or has it just been nobody, man? Nobody. Eric says, what if Steven Jackson still had gas in the tank when he played for Atlanta? And remember, that was the year that the whole NFC, similar to last year, that was the year, Devonta had already taken over at the end of the year. If y'all remember, because I remember the game when we went to New Orleans and won the one when Omanyata ran, not Omanyata, Usi, what's my man from the Giants? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Ran the touchdown back on the fumble at the last play. Yeah, if Steven Jackson was decent that year, we might have won that division. Clayton says, what if Lisa Lopez didn't burn her house? Wow, y'all going. God rest her soul. King Richard says Carolina coach didn't want Bryce Young. He wanted Stroud, and they basically shut him down on that. Yeah, I bet they're regretting that. And who knows? Maybe, I don't know. Philip Crawford said, what if Tidy wasn't a big Freeman fan? Yeah, listen, man. I'm not going to block Tidy for that because Freeman just got that bag and left, man. Got that bag and kind of went down a little bit. I ain't mad at him. Aaron Parker says Frank Wright should have kept Sam Darnold and PJ Walker. I'm sorry, PJ Moore. I'm sorry. And picked up Andy Dalton and draft the quarterback in 2024. But since he didn't, he should have let Andy Dalton start and bench Bryce Young to learn the whole season. Wright is a horrible coach. Here's the problem. In 2023, you could have got away with that in the 90s, in the 80s, and some will even argue in the very early 2000s. I think the politics of the game now are more likely to say, if you're picking a quarterback in the top 5, you're basically saying that his potential is for him to be a franchise quarterback. And whether you put him out into the fire early or not, the expectation is at least by the middle of the season, that quarterback should be playing for your team. Now, this year, it ended up flipping around because all 3 guys ended up starting this year. Anthony Richardson is hurt. CJ Stroud is doing some things down there in Houston. And Bryce he's struggling. But you picked him. So you got to stick with it. Drew is in the house. What's going on, Drew? Eric says, whatever year Jalen Hurts was drafted, what if Atlanta got him? He was available until the second round. I think it was the very beginning of the second round, though. I might even argue, was he the first pick of the second round when they got him? Matt Town Dirty's here. What's up, Matt Town? How you doing, brother? Drew says, think our offense will continue to improve. Let's forget the interception for a second and give credit to Ritter by having 2 games back to back with 300 yards. Ritter ranked 12 in passing yards. And I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer with this critique, Drew. 2 things. About 6 teams have had buys this year. I would love to see what the numbers would be if those teams had played when people talk about the number of yards. And 300 yards to me, I mean, it's a benchmark, but you can't forget the interceptions. I Matter of fact, I'm trying to remember whose comment was that. I'm trying to think, was that Facebook or was I looking at Twitter? Where somebody, and it's not pick on you, Drew, I just bringing it up. Somebody said, yeah, but aside of the 3 interceptions, Desmond had a good game. And I was thinking about that. I was like, huh? And it was aside of the interceptions. Larry says, one more chance. Ritter getting one more chance. I used to like that song. That was cool. Tidy coming to play offensive line for his buddy. Said old Goat Freeman isn't appreciated enough. Should have started as a rookie. And that's the year I was talking about. That year that Devonta come in. And remember, y'all, Florida State doesn't win that championship as much as Jameis, and he should have gotten a lot of love for that national championship in Florida State. Devonta was running that thing. I was extremely happy when we drafted him. And that particular year that he's talking about, that was the year that we brought our guy Steven Jackson in. You know, Devonta was supposed to be an afterthought. He was starting by the end of that year. Drew says Ritter gets this season. And he probably will, Drew. He probably will. And quite honestly, if the Falcons, which we hope they do turn it around and win this game, if the Falcons don't succeed, I think Arthur Smith, unfortunately, it will be probably not retained next year. And I mean that. I'm not. That's not a mean thing. That's a reality thing. Because what fans don't want to hear is for again, I've heard all the Twitter, Facebook, you know, all the stuff people are saying. Well, y'all got to give them time. Y'all got to give them time. You know what? I'm a fan. I'm sorry. I don't know all the that everybody talks about. I don't know about the analytics of if the 2 men, if you got 2 rushes on the side, and if you got a 2 technique and all that jazz. That's fine. That's great. I'm glad that you are educated. All I know is as a fan, if I sit up there and I see my team struggling, somebody's got to answer for it. And please don't tell me, as emotionally and financially invested as I am in this team, that I don't have the right to not want more. So one thing I kind of fight for. Fight for that fan that feels like when they give their critique that others want to outsmart you. And well, let me rephrase that. Attempt to outsmart you and think that just because you know a play or 2, or you played Pop Warner, or you were the second string on your high school, or you played at Slippery Rock Junior College, that makes you an expert. It doesn't. You're just like me. And you're just like thousands of others who sit there and type away during the game, type away during halftime, and in these forums come in like this. So you're a fan too. And we're all emotional. But you have a right, I have a right to express ourselves about this. Latterberg says, what if the Falcons front office has kept Favre, Dion, Brian Jordan, and Bad Moon? Wow, that would have been nice. Hucklebuck is here. What's going on, man? Say, I have an interesting question for you. Who do you think Arthur Smith's football mentor? Just curious because he appears schizophrenic offensively. That's kind of a very good question. Who does he pattern himself out of? Or you know how you usually hear about coaches coming from a tree? That's a very good question. Demetri says remix of one more chance. First thing Ritter needs to stop throwing interceptions because it shows off his incompetence. How about can't can't get mad? King Richard says, I'm so glad Carolina didn't get Stroud or Richardson because the call for Ritter to be gone would increase like crazy. Yes, it would. Ballhead Falcon fan, what's going on, man? Said Jalen Hurts threw 3 interceptions Sunday too. So they were 5-1. That was their first loss. I mean, I think I've seen this somewhere earlier this week too. I so what? That's to me. If you're gonna compare, so if Patrick Mahomes throws 3 interceptions, if just trying to think who else is balling right now. If Tua throws 3 interceptions, and totally different question for a team that just were a field goal away from winning the Super Bowl. To try to compare the two, yeah, I mean, that's kind of reaching. Reaching. Because I'll tell you right now, if Philadelphia wants to trade Jalen and come over here in a heartbeat, I'll go down and get his baggage. I'll pick him up from the airport. Come on now. Eric Parker says Hurts was picked 53rd in the second round in 2020. And Hurts struggled, y'all. He struggled. But I have more faith in Hurts coming back than I do. My man, Desmond. Drew says 2 of the interceptions were caused by the receivers running wrong routes too. I hear you. But man, here we go again. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Strange. I love Desmond. It's crazy. Winston says, Eddie Carswell said this same stuff in the group. How do you dismiss interception? It's hard. It's hard. Ballhead Falcon fan says Ritter needs to throw 300 yards Sunday with a win on the road. Let me tell you something. I don't care if he throws for 200. I don't know where that narrative came from. That in order for us to win, he has to throw for 300. I'm not asking for 300. I'm not. I'm asking him to win the game. That's why he got a pass in the Carolina game, quite honestly. Now, 15 for 18 for 113 is a lot different because we really weren't getting the ball downfield. Now, if you tell me he's 20 for 27, 220 yards, and we win the game, but the 300-yard thing, that's a Matt Ryan stat. We see where we got from there. Dixon Way says 300 yards doesn't mean anything when you throw 3 picks. That was on Facebook. Yeah. Dumbest statement ever wrote. Outside the 3 picks, Ritter had a great game. Yeah, I saw that too, and that was just I don't even know. Ballhead Falcon fan must seem to be a big time Ritter follower. Says Ritter is better than a few veteran quarterbacks. No. I don't know. Huh? Woo! Drew says, FYI, Matt Ryan only threw 2 games for 300 yards last season. Kind of missing the correlation, but I got you. Dixon Way says, now Falcon fans are branch timelines where your 3 picks don't count. Stop it. He better have 300 yards with 47 attempts. Ballhead crime fan says they're crying for Heineke, but he's a turnover machine for real. I don't think. I think a lot of people are talking about Heineke. I'm not reaching for Heineke though. I hear some people are, but I want Desmond to get it right. I really do. I need him to get it right. And whoever that was telling me before we were doing that whoever was talking about the 3 interceptions and 2 of them were his fault. I go back and say, you know, he came down and said 2 of the interceptions were his fault. So I don't take that for what it's worth. All right, Barbara says, rumor has it Terry Fontenot is going to resign because big disagreements on the personnel. I can see it. I don't think he's going to resign. Wow. Larry says, oh, yeah, this is the defense that doesn't have the time to wait on Ritter. AJ and Okuda are free agents. Grady is long in the tooth, and Campbell is on a 1-year deal. This defense won't be here for long. Now, AJ is not technically a free agent. He will be playing on his 5th-year option next year. So they need to work out a deal for him. Okuda absolutely is a free agent. But, yeah. Matt House is slippery rock. Hey, man. I'm trying to think of something. Drew says, defense is only going to get better next year. Smith and Terry set up this year with a lot of 1-year contracts. So we will have a lot of cap in free agency next season to improve on the defense. Here's the problem, Drew. The people that you're talking about, if Bud Dupree keeps playing like he does, Calais, I'm not sure whether he's going to stay or not. We'll see. The 1-year contracts that we have with some of these folks is also going to be contingent on what we do this year. Do you think Calais Campbell is going to come back on a team if we're 7-10, if we're 8-9 and miss the playoffs? I mean, I hear you, but you would have to have lightning strike again the same way. I don't know. 330 says, Uncle Steve, the thing that separates fans from PSL owners, that the PSL owners are leaning more towards satisfaction along with bragging rights of fans. Mr. Blank paying the bills, but PSL owners are helping. I mean, listen, I was talking to my wife. We were having a discussion about the PSLs, and that Georgia Dome obviously didn't have that attachment with it. But when they sold you those PSLs, and for those of you who mostly did that, you guys had to sit in there with the folks and listen to their spiel and all of this. And they gave you that feel of you're a stakeholder in this. Your PSLs are what's paying for, basically paying for the building. So while I'm not ready to knock on the door at Flowery Branch and tell them that I want to pull my cinder block back that I paid for, that's a decision I had to make. But I do feel financially invested in this team. I feel like your voice should be heard, whether it's to pat you on the back and say it's okay, or slap you on the butt and say, come on, fellas, let's roll. There's nothing wrong with that. Good call, 330. Ballhead Falcon fan. I was trying to say that we, as Falcon fans, Got to give Ritter time. It's called growing pains. Jalen got more experience than Ritter, so we got to give Ritter a little time to grow. And here's the problem with that, man. I don't even disagree with that. Of course, we have to give him time. But I'm gonna put this scenario to you. I'm gonna scream it until the cows come home because it's true. You, as an organization, basically told us there were no other options at quarterback. So rather than bring in legitimate competition to push this guy, you named him your starting quarterback. Y'all didn't say he was competing with anybody coming in. You named him quarterback this year. You brought Heineke in and told him your job is to back him up, help him any way you want. You doubled down in preseason by letting the man play 8 or 9 plays, which the last play ended up in an interception, just for the sake of logging that in our memory. So if you're telling me, and on top of the rhetoric that he was this great leader and, he galvanized the team and everybody's so, Desmond is a special guy and whatever. Now, a lot of that is off-season talk, and what else do we have to talk about? But you sold us as this guy was pop and ready to go. So when he's had some of the ups and downs he's had, has he had a good game? Yes, the Houston game was really nice. But aside of that, folks, there's a quarter against Green Bay in the fourth quarter where he was good. And aside of that, he's been average to subpar. So I'm not saying we don't need to give him some time, but when you see how good this defense is, when you see what Kyle Pitts can do when he catches the ball, when you see what Jonnu Smith can do when he catches the ball, when you see what Tyler and Bijan can do in the backfield, when you see when Drake finally gets his hands on the ball, he actually can catch it. No fumbles this year. And now cap that with a defense that has basically kept you in every game this year. It's just frustrating. I'm not calling for the man to be benched yet, but I am saying it's frustrating. Sorry that my frustration can't go over your optimism, and I don't want people to not be optimistic. I love the Falcons. And one of the things that keeps me from being that so in love with a player, which I don't know what pixie dust they swept over this city that makes everybody just fall in love with Desmond like he's some kind of rock star. I'm sorry. I'm going to hold him to the standard. Standard is winning. And when you throw in the 3 interceptions, I don't care if the play was wrong. Y'all dogged out Matt Ryan. Every interception you had, I didn't hear anything about Dirk Cutter or Kyle Shanahan being their fault. I heard it was Matt Ryan. So you got to do the same thing. Give him the same standard is to win. Do I want Desmond to win? Absolutely. How foolish would that be for me to say, I want all the team to succeed, but I want Desmond to throw interceptions and not succeed because we'll lose, but more importantly, I'll be right. How stupid does that sound? But I'm also going to hold him accountable. And I'm also not going to play the, it's kind of like his rookie year because he only played 4 games. I'm looking at CJ Stroud outplaying him as a starting quarterback right now. Anthony Richardson, before he got hurt, was outplaying Desmond Ritter. Can't say the same about Bryce, but that's kind of the stick. Kenny Pickett, I quite honestly, I haven't paid attention as much to Pittsburgh, so I don't know. I couldn't even tell you what Kenny Pickett is doing. But yeah, all head fan says I agree. Juan Solo, what's going on, man? Say Ritter needs 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. I want the W, not a backup quarterback. Padded stats. Hallelujah. Antonio Holloway says it's early, but I think we need to start winning these NFC conference and division games for playoffs and tiebreakers. Antonio, never too early for that. That's what I was saying earlier in the year. The Jacksonville loss, even though it's a loss, hurts nowhere like the Washington loss. That Washington loss was brutal because that's a conference game. And it's probably a team you go up against. And guess what happens? If it comes down to the end of the year and we have the same 9-8 record, guess who goes in? Guess who goes out? Not Falcons. Scott says they get Ritter. To get Ritter, him is my favorite meme. Oh, get Ritter is my favorite meme right now. He could take Arthur Smith with him. Jay says our fans don't want to give time. No, Drew, you're right. Yeah, because I it's not about giving it. See, y'all making it personal. It's not about giving him time. How about the fans? 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. And now you want to say, well, we've only been losing 5 years in a row. Go ahead and struggle another year or two. Screw that. I'm not that fan. Miss me with all that sympathy for him when it comes to that. Justin says the bag boys, Listrom and McCary need to step up. Absolutely. They did get paid a bag. Juan says, who he's playing better than, that was actually considered good. True. Millie says, it says a lot about Carr if you have 2 good wide receivers and your running back catches 12 passes. I'm just saying, we get this win Sunday, the division look like it's ours. Well, look, we get this win, it's going to be a good step, but I'm not ready to call any division ours right now. Juan says, Matt Ryan also helped get us into the playoffs and broke Peyton Manning's rookie completion record. Winston says, what people fail to understand, you can throw 15 for 19, 155, 2 touchdowns. That's more impactful than 25 for 40, 300 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Yardage is nice, but was it effective? That's a disconnect. True. Juan says, meanwhile, how many interception-worthy passes Ritter have per game? Yeah, you saw that metric too, Juan. There's a whole bunch of them. Nando in the house, what's going on, brother? Good to see y'all. Just reminder, y'all hit that like button for me. Hit the like button on YouTube and on Facebook. I appreciate y'all. See y'all flowing in here very nicely. Scott says, band leader Falcon fan probably thinks Jamarcus Russell can take us to the Super. You're probably right. You're probably right. RJ for life. RJ ATL for life. What's going on, man? What's up, Happy Friday. I always wanted to know what if Tony Gonzalez didn't retire and play out the last year of his season. That was kind of interesting because if you remember, they played the game. He didn't put his papers in early. So the Falcons didn't get cap relief from him going into that season. So there was a little tension with Tony Gonzalez going into that year. But that would have been interesting to see. But we remember Julio got hurt that year. I think Roddy got hurt for a little bit. That was the year Harry Douglas led us in yards. Anthony, what's going on, sir? How you doing? Say, ready for this game? This is a must-win. I'm praying the offense has got it together this weekend. We figured out a great scheme and a great game plan for the Buccaneers. Rise up. Mills says, to be honest, I think Calais is replaceable too. And that's what I'm saying. When whoever brought that up and was talking about the 1-year contracts, yeah, we could probably bring somebody in again. 1-year contracts are nice. You're going to have those couple of pieces, but man, Yeah, to hit twice, it's gonna be interesting. Facebook user said, "Hey, what's up? Just wanted to say I love your insight on our team." Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Dexter says, "What's up? What's up, Dex?" Miss Latoya's in the house. How you doing, ma'am? Said this is the win now defense, and the offense needs to get right ASAP. Our division is weak. Now it's the time to win this division and make some noise in the playoffs. Anything can happen. I agree 100%, Latoya, especially in the NFC. The NFC, aside of Philly and Frisco, there's no reason the Falcons can't roll off a win or two. I don't think they can if they make the playoffs. Not playing like they played last week, but if we get our act together by December. David said, correction on last comment, 6.5 per attempt ain't going to get it done. Dave says, you're supposed to name your quarterback as a starter if your plan is see what he got. Name one rookie this season that wasn't named. Wait a second. What? You're supposed to name your quarterback as a starter if your plan is see what you got. Are you talking about Desmond Ridder? Desmond Ridder was named starter before the draft, though. That's the point. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's that look, at some point, we just gotta be honest with ourselves, y'all. At some point. Just say I love Desmond. Just say it. Just say I love Desmond. That's all you gotta do.
I love Desmond.
I mean, I don't mind being the fanboy in this, but they didn't name Richardson starting quarterback in April. They didn't name, well, obviously they hadn't had the draft yet, but to name somebody who had 4 career games, your quarterback before the draft, I'm sorry, nobody's making that up. You might want to go back and check. Go back and check. Then you can come back. 330 says you're echoing the message that you put out in July when your fandom was questioned. You are taking the high road by saying, not saying I warned you. And you know what? It's so hard, 330, because quite honestly, I never want to be that person. I really don't. Because at the end of the day, I want these guys to win. I want these guys to win. So while respecting Drew's different opinion, I'm sorry, man. No one names because and then here's the thing, and I'm gonna go back to Drew's statement because I'm gonna tell you why that bothers me. Because the same people that told you it was okay to name Dez as the starter because he had 4 games are the same people making excuses to say, well, as a total, he's only played 10 games, so he's really still a rookie. So it's almost like, yeah, pick a side and stay on it. And I don't know if you're that person, Drew, but I was just pointing that out. Nando says, what's up, can we fire Arthur Smith after this game if we lose? Because I have zero confidence in this offense with him at the helm. I'm not going to fire him yet, but, I hear you. Facebook user says, I would like to see Woodside. He had the contour of the offense. I told somebody earlier, and I mean this, not that Woodside didn't have a good preseason. If Woodside is the quarterback on this team, that's awful because that means either people got hurt or we're struggling that much. David says, I'm calling for him to be benched. Like I said, after Jacksonville, I've seen enough. Facebook loser says, I lost 500 on that game. Oh, man. Ballhead Falcon fan says, Arthur Smith ain't putting us in winning situations either. Listen, let me tell you something. Arthur hasn't got the virtual, but here's the thing, and I'm glad you pointed that out. It's amazing to me that people don't even get. There are so many people that get emotional that want Desmond Ridder to be this great guy, and they're so great football player, not great guy as a person. I don't know the man personally. I think he probably is a good dude. Or there's so many people that want Desmond to succeed that I make sure I said that right. There are a lot of people over here that's emotional about Desmond for him to sit, and there's a lot of people emotional about Desmond to succeed. What does that tell you about the nature of the quarterback position? Y'all get tired of it if you've been watching me for a little while, but I'll say it again because I never hear anybody say it and I stick by it. The quarterback position is the most important position in North American sports. I don't care if he's only played 10 games. I don't care if he is looked at as a rookie to some because he's only played 10 games. You're not going to escape the criticism. Gardner Minshew, PJ Walker, I forgot what the guy in New York's name that might be quarterbacking. Even when they come in as quarterback as backups, they are still going to get criticized. Folks, you don't get excuses. Brock Purdy did not get an excuse last year when he came in as a third string, last person in the draft quarterback. Either you're ready to play or you're not ready to play. Do I think Desmond could use a little bit of seasoning? Absolutely. But is that seasoning going to cost the team as a whole? If we're giving superlatives to all the other aspects of the team, are you stubborn enough to say, I'm going to keep this cat here and go through the growing pains at the detriment of everyone else on the team? When you play that position, you get the good and you get the bad. Great 2 weeks ago. And I say great, let me temper that. He was very good. And then last week he wasn't. Contrary to whether receivers were going the wrong way, whatever, Desmond did not have a great game. 300 yards does not make you a great quarterback, as we tried to tell people during Matt Ryan's tenure several times. Atlanta Burgang says, we wouldn't mind getting Ritter more time in 2021 or 22, but 2023 is winning time. That's what I'm saying. Listen to Arthur Blank. Arthur Blank told you that right in the preseason. He said, yeah, I mean, this is a team we're expecting to win. He didn't come out there and say, if they don't win, we're going to fire everybody. But he did say the expectation was for these guys to win. And especially with a fan base that you're trying to sell tickets. Folks, that first game of the year was off the chain. Carolina, a lot of people there, all of that. Green Bay game was nice. We filled the stadium 80%, maybe 70%. Green Bay fans might have had a lot to do with that, and that's great. But let me show you how quickly the tide turns for Falcon fans. We lost the game at Detroit. We went over to London and lost the game to Jaguars. We came back to the Houston game. Folks, the Houston game was not very crowded. The noise was not as loud. It really wasn't. Now, the Falcons fans were loud for the Falcons when they had to be. I'm not talking about the fans who were there. It was nowhere near where it was. The game last week against the Commanders, even coming off of the win against the Texans, it was not crowded. I try not to post those scenes because I'm embarrassed that a lot of people don't want to spend their time at our game. And I'm going to look at Kansas City, Philadelphia, teams like that you have to turn people down from coming into the stadium. That's about winning. That's about a winning culture. When you're winning, it's great and people will come. When you're average, or if you have a bad showing, people won't. I think is the Vikings the next home game? Whatever the next home game is, it's going to be interesting. Let's see what the Falcons do to entice the fans to come back. Demetri says Ritter needs to talk to some of the greats, such as Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, etc., to learn how to audibles, to learn how to audible and read defenses. Drew says all the top teams had a few years before they were contenders. Doesn't happen in 1 year. This year we fixed our defensive problems for the first time in years. It takes time, like it or not. I love Desmond. I hear you, Desmond. I hear you. I I'm not mad at it. I'm not. I'm not. I'm sorry. I watched the Philadelphia team that lost Carson Wentz and took a backup quarterback and won the Super Bowl. I watched a San Francisco team that had a quality team around it, went to their third string quarterback and made it to the NFC Championship. Sorry, man. Sorry. I love your passion for him. Reading defenses come with experience, but he's already improved greatly from the first 4 games. First 4 games is great. What about last week? I love Desmond. Sorry. I, I'm glad he has some fans. I really am. And I hope he improves. But stop making excuses. We don't have time for excuses. The same people that were going crazy for him after Houston. Oh, you should have seen it. Social media, all of this is the Desmond Ritter. This is the guy. This is the guy we were waiting on. See, y'all, it took 8 games. See, look. And now he throws 3 interceptions, and now it's take your time. Make up your mind. Which one is going to be? Because all I know is my team not winning. I don't know. But I gotta appreciate the passion for your team. I just say don't blind yourself so much when you're saying a player. It's not about the player all the time. Not about him in particular. I love to support Desmond Ritter as my Falcons quarterback. But it's not gonna hurt my feelings if another Falcons quarterback comes in and plays a better quarterback for us. It's not. Demetrius says, we are in a win now situation, so all the Desmonds need to stop making excuses for it. It sounds like it, man. Raymond, what's going on, man? Say, I'm frustrated too, but the offense has more issues than Oh, this is true. The offensive line got to step up and help this kid. Arthur ain't helping with dumb situational call. And here's the problem. You're right on both of those points that you made, calling you Desmond, my bad. You're right on both of those things you said, Raymond. But as much as that's true, and as much as I know football people are going to try to tell you that all day, folks, the pot is stirred by the guy who gets the ball every snap. And I'm sorry. That happens to be Desmond right now. You're absolutely right. Does the offensive line struggle? Yes. I watched Joe Burrow go through a season that he got sacked so many times. I wonder how he kept getting up. And he took his team within 1 possession of winning the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying everybody's Joe Burrow, but I am saying sometimes as a quarterback, gotta have that extra. I've seen it too many times. Juan says, I'm just saying, to revamp the defense, get new weapons on offense, and don't have an efficient quarterback, it's like getting your car fixed and losing it. Might have to figure that up. Ballhead Falcon fan says, we don't have no serious teams to play the rest of the season. We should go on a run if DR9 can get better ASAP. Miss me with that comment, respectfully, because the team we played last week supposed to be included in this. Are you going to sit here and tell me with a straight face that the Commanders are a great team? Matter of fact, I'll even say after this game, and I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it, we're a better team than Washington. Are you seriously going to tell me that the Commanders are better? Great front four. But you can't sit here and tell me those DBs were that great. Please don't do that. But I thought we were gonna go on a run last week. I hear what you're saying. I want to be that team where we can start penciling in wins, but we can't. And brutally honest, no NFL team can. But we're not at a point where we can overlook anybody. Shoot, on paper, you would argue that we were better than Tampa Bay. No. Eric said, what if Atlanta beat San Francisco in the NFC Championship game in 2012 and play Baltimore in the Super Bowl? Will we win? I thought we would have. I kept telling people that. I thought we honestly would have beat them. Antonio says, shout out to Nate Lamont. Nate Lamont has been balling. Nando says, how does our run game fare against Vita Vea and Tampa Bay front? We already can't get this running game on track, so Riddle will have to propel us to victory. Your thoughts? I think the defense for Tampa Bay is going to be a problem. I think you probably see a similar setup against Tampa than you have with Washington. That's why that's going to be an issue. Their front seven is nice for Tampa. Their offense is sputtering kind of like ours. And Baker Mayfield, while solid, is not lighting the world on fire. It's going to be a tough go. I heard Vita Vea didn't practice yesterday, so it'll be interesting. Larry says, yo, I love Desmond. What?
I love Desmond.
What are you talking about? Well, it says exactly. Facebook user says that was definitely a bad move. Start naming him starter before the draft. I felt like they did that because Lamar fell through. And you know what? That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point because it was right at the same time. You're absolutely right. They knew that they weren't going to be able to be a true player in that game because remember it was a deadline they had to make, and it was right after that deadline that they said, you know what, Dez is our guy. That's a very good point. Torian Brown says he is trash. Facebook user says when you don't run the ball when we are in goal line, instead you have a quarterback line up in shotgun just for him to throw a jump pass interception. That was brutal. Brutal, brutal, brutal. Millie says Eagles fans up here saying we got your boy Julio here now. All I say is get a ring for me. Yeah, Julio, kind of a non-story for me because I don't know how much run he's gonna get with them boys up there. Got a lot of cats up there. Juan says some people who say Desmond a rookie won't say anything when CJ Stroud is brought up. See, that's the problem. Yeah, they don't have that other side to weigh it against. You're right. Sean says Arthur Smith has been habitual with bad play calling. Yes, we mentioned this the past 2 years, but this year it's really loud because we had some money, flip the roster, and have a top 10 defense, and we've been told that we're in weird mode now and we haven't won anything. I'm gonna say that again because this is kind of the thought that I had. We mentioned this the past 2 years, and I'm gonna add with the less than talented roster we had. But this year, it's really loud because we had money, we flipped the roster, have a top 10 defense, and we've been told that we're in win mode now. And we haven't won anything. I'm trying to see where the lies are. Drew says Eagles are not contenders this year. Y'all played one good team and lost to one good team. I'm gonna let you okay. All right, Drew. I hear you. I don't agree with you, but I hear you. Torian says he didn't show me anything. He didn't throw no touchdowns in the preseason. Shoot, he barely played preseason. Antonio says, speaking of shout out to what DeMarco Ryan is doing in Texans, coach of the year to me. I hear you. Juan says, I won't even say 2 weeks ago, but I'll say surprisingly, but I said that if he went up against the pass rush against Washington, he would mess up. Washington DBs got 300 yards and 4 touchdowns put on them by Justin Fields. And Philly scored 37 on them too. Larry says the thing is you can't have it both ways as Ritter Knights. You can't say he doesn't need more preseason snaps out of the other side of your neck and say he has some mythical rookie that needs more time. That's been my biggest point. I don't want to listen. I want to hope that whatever Arthur Smith saw in preseason, because I'm not gonna lie to you, when he only played the one game, I was saying to myself, Larry, I was like, oh, then he must see something we don't see. That he has that much faith in him that he's ready to, play him immediately. That's pretty good. Antonio says, I just want to see a Super Bowl before I leave this earth. Join the club, my friend. Justin says Arthur Smith can't get his team prepared to win on the road. He better. He better. ATLAX says, I love Desmond. What are you talking about?
I love Desmond.
What are you talking about? Oh. Facebook user says Ritter is not ready. Anthony says this whole offense has got to get it together. Boy, I can't do a show with you. Dwanda says dyslexic. Oh, that's horrible. Y'all are wrong. Latoya said, that's right, Unc. Excuses are over with. People spending hard-earned money on PSL and tickets, and they put out this bipolar product. Unfortunately, they lose Sunday at the Benz. Will be empty the next home game. That's facts. Latoya, that's nothing but fact. Coming out those two games that we lost, you would think, okay, all right, that same raucous crowd that was there for Carolina and Green Bay, they're going to be there. No, they're reacting to what you just did on the road. Drew says, how many years did it take Josh Allen, 1, 2, or 3, to have a good season? I don't know because I wasn't in Buffalo. I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan. Could care less. Dixon says, it does take time, but we were told the rebuild was over. Say it again. It does take time, but we were told the rebuild was over. Say it for a third time because he's right. It does take time, but we were told the rebuild was over. What part of that y'all don't understand? Steve didn't make that narrative. It said that to the fans. I mean, he's right. They told us we were looking for beautiful horizon, good things, great things for our Falcons, with Desmond leading the way. Drew says, how was rebuild over when this first actual season when we had money to do anything? All right. Wallace says, what's going on? What's going on, Wallace? How you doing? I hope Arthur Smith get the offense on track going forward to help this defense out. Padre's in the house. What's up, Padre? Is that what rebuild? Arthur Smith said that this isn't a rebuild when it clearly is. Uh-oh. Somebody said it wasn't a rebuild. You're right. Ballhead Falcons fan says, I'm praying, Unc. I'm right with you, brother. I'm right here with you. Nando says the fandom in the Atlanta Bird game is above 2,000. They keep on moving the goalposts. He has his play warranted because that's what's seen on the field. I'm just calling a spade in this card game. You ain't never lied, man. You ain't never lied. Eric Parker says the Jets could beat us. Yeah. We got to rethink that schedule this year with our method of playing. I can't trust Arthur Smith or Desmond Ritter. Jets just beat Philly. Wallace says Tampa's front is good against the run, but I think we should be able to pass on them. Absolutely. Toddy says that I love Desmond. It's hilarious. I know what y'all hearing. I don't have a sound effect for that. What are you talking about?
I love Desmond.
I have no idea what y'all talking about. That must be some fans. Is somebody on the mic? Is somebody messing with the thing? What y'all talking about?
I love Desmond.
I don't hear it. ATLAX. Yep, you have to sign up at birth to get season tickets for the Packers. There's still never a guarantee. The Falcons could never with the record we have, but we want to give it more time. And that's the problem. Eh, Let me tell y'all something. Every fan base, which includes Kansas City, Philly, San Francisco, Dallas, any winning team you can talk about, have these same discussions, have these same forums, have these same, releases of frustration. So it doesn't make, because it's Philly, it doesn't make them any better that they're having those conversations about how their quarterback is doing. They gave they gave Jalen a hard time when he first started. Then he almost gave him an MVP season last year. So yeah, I mean, I get the patience, y'all. I get why y'all want to run through the wall for this guy we just met last year. But at the same time, I just say caution that, because you know what? If he keeps going up and down like he is, the decision might not be Arthur Smith's pretty soon, who is already kind of on his own timeline himself. So, yeah, I don't know. But listen, y'all. I have been on here for almost 2 hours. I meant to stay on for only about an hour today. But again, when the discussion is going well, I like for things to keep going. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for joining us in Uncle C's Lounge. I will be on, as I usually am, at 7:30 after the game. I appreciate everyone joining us in the chat.
I love Desmond.
And thank you so much for just trying to keep this thing as lighthearted as you can. Again, I'm not going to battle with anybody about it. They love Desmond Ritter, folks. That's great as a person. You know who I love more importantly? I love the person who's doing well in the position. So whether it could be Desmond Ritter, Tyler Heineke, Mike Vick, Felipe Franks, or whoever it is, as long as they win the game, it's all good. Until then, man, I just want to thank everybody for joining us in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Don't forget to like the video on the way out. Again, we need this win. I'm picking the Falcons by 3 this week in a low-scoring game. 19-16. Falcons, you better make me look good. Let's go!